Chosen one, did you know that right now, at this very second, there are forces in the spiritual realm marking your location? Did you realize that every disappointment, every closed door, every time you felt forgotten was actually God positioning you for something so big that hell itself is trembling? Are you ready to discover why the enemy has been fighting you so hard? Because he knows what's about to be unleashed through your life. Stop, right there. Before you scroll past this moment, understand something that will shake you to your core. You didn't find this video. This video found you. This isn't just another Saturday night. This isn't just another inspirational message you stumbled across while scrolling through your pain. This is a divine alarm clock that's been set since before the foundation of the world. The countdown is over. And your name, yes, your name is written in bold letters on heaven's schedule tonight. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Every season of silence you've endured, every time you felt invisible, every moment you questioned if God had forgotten you, it was all preparation. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. And what you're about to step into will shock the world. This is not a coincidence, not a suggestion, not a lucky guess. This is the moment. This is not another motivational speech, not another feel-good message. This is heaven going public with your name. Listen carefully. Before this message ends, you will not just understand what's happening in the spiritual realm around your life, you will feel it in your bones. You will sense the shift. You will know, beyond any shadow of doubt, that your season of hiding is over and your season of demonstration has begun. To every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks, your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters, and if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. The atmosphere is shifting right now. Can you feel it? Something in the heavenly realm just moved, and what you're about to hear will either transform your life forever, or you'll walk away from the greatest divine appointment of your existence. The choice is yours, but choose quickly, because what God is about to release through chosen ones like you cannot be stopped, cannot be delayed, and will not wait for anyone who's not ready to step into their moment. Are you ready to discover why your pain had purpose? Why your preparation is about to become your platform? Then don't you dare look away. How many nights have you lain awake wondering if God has forgotten your address? How many times have you watched younger people walk into the very doors that slammed shut in your face? And tell me honestly, when was the last time you truly believed that your greatest days weren't already behind you? Listen to me, chosen one. What I'm about to reveal will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered about your age, your timing, and your purpose. You've been living through what I call the divine pause, and you've mistaken it for divine abandonment. You've watched this world promote people who've never spent 5 minutes in prayer while you've spent decades on your knees. You've seen the unrighteous prosper while your bank account stayed empty and your dreams gathered dust on the shelf of what could have been. You buried those dreams, didn't you? You told yourself it was wisdom. You called it being realistic. But the brutal truth is, you buried them because you thought time had buried you first. 60 years old and still waiting. 70 years old and still believing. 80 years old and still hoping for a breakthrough that everyone else says is too late to come. The world convinced you that your season was over before it ever truly began. You've prayed for years, decades, some of you. You've fasted until your body ached. You've tithed when you could barely afford groceries. You've served in that church where they barely remember your name. You've been faithful when faithfulness felt like foolishness. And what did you get in return? Silence. Deafening, soul-crushing silence. The kind of silence that makes you question if God really hears the prayers of someone your age. The kind of silence that whispers, maybe he's moved on to the younger generation, maybe your time has passed. But what if I told you that silence wasn't empty? What if that silence was sacred? Here's what the enemy has been hiding from you. That wasn't God ignoring you. That was God positioning the entire world to witness you. Think about this for a moment. Every biblical hero had their season of hiddenness before their season of demonstration. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he split the Red Sea. Abraham waited 25 years for Isaac. Joseph rotted in prison before he ruled Egypt. David hid in caves before he wore a crown. And every single one of them questioned God's timing. The silence you've endured wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God wasn't teaching you patience. He was building your character to handle what's coming. He wasn't delaying your breakthrough. He was ensuring that when it comes, you'll have the spiritual backbone to carry it without breaking. You see, God doesn't just give us what we want when we want it. He gives us what we can handle when we can handle it. And right now, at this very moment in your life, you're finally ready to handle what He's been preparing for you. Look at the timing of where you are right now. You have decades of wisdom that the younger generation lacks. You have spiritual depth that only comes from walking through valleys. You have unshakable faith that's been tested by fire and refined by time. You have credibility that can't be bought, faked, or fast-tracked. The world is about to witness something unprecedented. God moving through someone who the world counted out, someone who society wrote off, someone who others assumed was past their prime. But here's the shocking truth that will change everything. You're not past your prime, you're entering it. Isaiah 46:4 says, "Even to your old age and grey hairs I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." Did you catch that? God didn't say He'd carry you until you get old. He said He'd carry you because you're old. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your divine advantage. The enemy has been lying to you about your expiration date because he knows what God is about to do through you. He knows that when someone your age rises up in power, it destroys every narrative this culture has built about youth being the only path to relevance. Right now, there are rooms full of decision makers who need exactly what you carry. There are young people drowning in anxiety who need your peace. There are businesses failing because they lack your wisdom. There are ministries struggling because they don't have your spiritual maturity. The world has been waiting for you to show up, and they don't even know it yet. You've been asking God, why now? Why not 30 years ago when I had more energy? But God is asking you, why not now when you have more wisdom? Why not now when you have nothing left to prove to anyone but me? Why not now when your motivation is pure and your ego is surrendered? This is the perfect storm of divine timing. You have the wisdom of age, the fire of unfulfilled purpose, and the backing of a God who specializes in impossible situations. You're not too old, you're perfectly positioned. The silence is about to break. The waiting is about to end. The hiddenness is about to transform into demonstration. And when God moves through someone who the world counted out, it doesn't just create ripples, it creates tsunamis. Every closed door, every delayed promise, every season of obscurity has been God's way of building pressure. And when pressure builds long enough, something has to give. The ground beneath your circumstances is about to shift, and everything that looked impossible is about to become inevitable. God wasn't ignoring you, He was positioning the world to witness you. The earthquake is coming, and you're not going to just survive it, you're going to be the epicenter of it. But before the ground shakes, we need to understand exactly what God has been building in the secret place while the world wasn't watching. You know what separates a ripple from a tsunami? The ripple starts where you can see it, but a tsunami begins in the deep places, in the hidden chambers of the ocean floor, where pressure builds for years, decades, even centuries before it breaks the surface. And right now, chosen one, there's something building in the spiritual realm that started long before you were born, long before your first prayer, long before your first heartbreak. God has been orchestrating a movement in the invisible realm, and what you're feeling in your spirit right now, that restlessness, that anticipation, that sense that something massive is about to shift, that's not anxiety, that's prophecy. A tsunami doesn't announce itself. It shifts everything suddenly. You've been living through the earthquake phase. every rejection you've faced, every door that slammed in your face, every time people told you that you were too old, too late, too broken, those weren't setbacks. Those were seismic shifts preparing the ocean floor of your destiny for what's about to be unleashed. Listen to me carefully. You didn't survive your trials by accident. You didn't endure decades of preparation for nothing. You didn't carry the weight of unanswered prayers just to die in the desert of delay. No, no, no. You survived because God knew what was coming. He knew the magnitude of what He was preparing you to carry. And here's what the enemy is terrified you'll discover tonight. This Saturday is not just a moment, it's a movement, and nothing in hell can reverse it. Do you know why your battles have been so intense? Because hell knows what you're about to become. The devil doesn't waste ammunition on people who aren't dangerous to his kingdom. He's been fighting you so hard because he sees what's written in the scrolls of heaven about your future. And what he sees has him panicking. You've been walking through the valley of preparation, but you're about to step onto the mountain of demonstration. And when you do, the world will understand why you went through what you went through. Isaiah 43:19 says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." Do you hear that? God is doing a new thing, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. And the Hebrew word for springs forth means to burst open like a flower in springtime, suddenly, powerfully, undeniably. What God is about to do through chosen ones like you won't be gradual, it won't be subtle, it will be sudden, it will be shocking. It will be so dramatic that the very people who overlooked you will have to acknowledge that the hand of the Almighty is upon your life. But here's what most people don't understand about God's timing. When He moves, He doesn't just change your circumstances, He shifts entire systems. He doesn't just open doors for you. He restructures the building. He doesn't just promote you, He redefines what promotion looks like. You've been wondering why nothing has happened yet. You've been questioning if God heard your prayers. You've been tempted to believe that maybe you misunderstood His voice. But what if I told you that every day of delay was actually God accumulating power for your moment? Think about it. When a tsunami builds in the deep ocean, it travels at the speed of a jet airplane 500 miles per hour. But it's invisible. The ocean surface looks calm. Ships pass over it without even knowing it's there. But when that wave approaches shallow water, when it gets ready to make landfall, it slows down and grows up. It becomes visible. It becomes undeniable. It becomes unstoppable. That's where you are right now. You're approaching your shallow water moment. The invisible force that God has been building in your life for years is about to slow down, grow up, and become visible to everyone who said you'd never make it. Here's what's going to shock the world. They thought they were watching your breakdown, but God was orchestrating your breakthrough. They thought they were witnessing your failure, but heaven was documenting your preparation. They thought your silence meant you were finished, but God was using that silence to build pressure for your explosion. And when this wave hits, it won't just change your life. It will shift everyone who's been watching. Because what God is about to do through you will serve as evidence that He still intervenes in human affairs, that He still elevates the humble, that He still remembers the forgotten. You see, the people who dismissed you made one critical mistake. They measured your potential by your past instead of by your God. They looked at your age and saw limitation. But heaven looked at your age and saw accumulated wisdom. They looked at your scars and saw brokenness. But God looked at your scars and saw credibility. Every gray hair on your head is a testimony. Every wrinkle around your eyes tells a story of endurance. Every bend in your back speaks of weight you carried that would have crushed others. You're not too old for this move of God. You are this move of God. The wave that's coming isn't just about blessing you, it's about using you to demonstrate His power to a generation that has forgotten what real faith looks like. You're not just receiving favor, you're becoming a living sermon about the faithfulness of God across decades. And here's the part that will absolutely astound you. When this wave breaks over your life, when this sudden shift manifests, You'll realize that every person who hurt you was actually being used by God to position you. Every boss who passed you over was making room for God to be your CEO. Every friend who betrayed you was clearing space for divine connections you couldn't have imagined. The momentum building in the spiritual realm right now is so powerful that it's already affecting the physical realm. Doors are already loosening on their hinges. Contracts are already being drawn up in heavenly courts. Connections are already being orchestrated by divine appointment. But here's what you need to understand. This wave won't wait forever. Tsunamis have timing. They build, they travel, they arrive, and they recede. The window for you to position yourself to receive what's coming is not indefinite. Are you going to waste this moment questioning if you're worthy? Are you going to let fear convince you to step away from the shore just as your wave is about to break? Or are you going to plant your feet, lift your hands, and declare that you're ready for everything God has been preparing for your life? Because what's coming next will answer the question that's been haunting you for years. God, was all of this pain for a purpose? You know what happens to a photograph in a dark room. For hours it sits in complete darkness. Nothing visible, nothing apparent, just chemistry working in the shadows. And then, suddenly, an image begins to emerge. Features become clear, details sharpen. What was invisible becomes undeniable. That dark room? That's been your life for the past season. But here's what you didn't know while you were sitting in that darkness. God wasn't developing just a photograph. He was developing a masterpiece. And every moment you felt forgotten, every season you felt invisible, every time you wondered if anyone even knew you existed, that wasn't abandonment, that was development. You've been in hiding, not because you were weak, but because heaven was scripting your reveal. Do you want to know why your prayers seem to echo in empty rooms? Why your talents felt buried under years of silence? Why younger people with half your wisdom got platforms while you got passed over? It wasn't because God didn't see you. It was because He was protecting what He was creating in you from premature exposure. Listen to me. Some things are too valuable to be revealed before their time. Some destinies are too powerful to be unveiled before they're fully formed. And what God has been crafting in the secret chambers of your heart, in the hidden hours of your pain, in the private moments of your worship, it's been too precious for public consumption. Until now, you've been asking God, when will it be my turn? But what if I told you that your turn has been coming all along? What if every rejection was actually divine protection? What if every closed door was heaven saying, not yet, because what I have planned is bigger than what you're asking for? Think about Joseph, 13 years in prison for a dream, 13 years of wondering if God had forgotten His promise, 13 years of watching other people get promoted while he rotted in a dungeon. But what Joseph didn't know was that Pharaoh was having dreams that only Joseph could interpret. What Joseph didn't see was that a famine was coming that only his wisdom could navigate. What Joseph couldn't understand was that his imprisonment wasn't punishment, it was positioning. And you, dear chosen one, have been in your own version of that prison. Not behind literal bars, but behind the bars of being overlooked, underestimated, and undervalued. You've watched people with less experience get opportunities you prayed for. You've seen your ideas given to others who got the credit. You've felt the sting of being the oldest person in rooms full of younger faces that couldn't see your worth. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to realize. They overlooked you. Good. Now they have no idea what's about to hit. Every time they passed you over for promotion, God was accumulating interest on your blessing. Every time they chose someone else, heaven was multiplying your reward. Every time they said you were too old, too late, too out of touch, God was adding another zero to your comeback. You think you've been waiting on God, but God has been waiting on the right moment. The moment when your emergence would have maximum impact. The moment when your story would serve as undeniable proof that He still lifts up the humble and confounds the wise. 1 Samuel 2:8 says, He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap. He seats them with princes and has them inherit a throne of honor. Did you catch that? Not just blessing. not just provision, a throne of honor. That's what God has been preparing for you in the secret place. And here's the part that's going to shock everyone who dismissed you. When God lifts you from your ash heap to your throne, it won't be gradual, it won't be a slow climb. It will be a supernatural elevation that happens so fast, so dramatically, that there will be no question about who orchestrated it. You've been in the wilderness, but you're about to enter your promised land. You've been in the valley, but you're about to ascend to your mountain. You've been in the audience, but you're about to take the stage. But here's what makes this moment different from every other season you've lived through. This time, when you step into your blessing, you won't be stepping alone. You'll be carrying the weight of every prayer you prayed in secret. You'll be armed with every lesson you learned in the darkness. You'll be strengthened by every tear you cried when no one was watching. The woman who emerges from this season won't be the same woman who entered it. The man who steps onto his platform won't be the same man who knelt in his prayer closet. You've been transformed by the pressure. You've been refined by the rejection. You've been purified by the pain. And now, when God reveals you to the world, you won't just be successful, you'll be unstoppable. You won't just be blessed, you'll be dangerous to every system that tried to keep you down. You won't just be promoted, you'll be prophetic evidence that God still moves on behalf of those who trust Him. Do you know why your story is about to shock the world? Because the world has forgotten what real faith looks like. They've become accustomed to instant success, overnight sensations, viral moments. But you represent something they haven't seen in a generation. The power of persistence, the beauty of endurance, the majesty of a life that's been tested and proven. When you walk into rooms now, you won't just carry experience, you'll carry authority. When you speak, you won't just share opinions, you'll release wisdom. When you move, you won't just change positions, you'll shift atmospheres. The enemy fought you so hard because he knew what was coming. He saw the throne that was being prepared for you. He witnessed the crown that was being crafted for your head. He recognized the scepter that was being forged for your hand. And he did everything in his power to break you before you could claim what God had prepared. But he failed. You're still here. You're still standing. You're still believing. And that terrifies him more than anything else because it means his window to stop you has closed. The whispers of your secret place are about to become the headlines of heaven's next move. Every prayer you prayed in private is about to be answered in public. Every tear you shed in secret is about to become a testimony that sets others free. Every dream you carried alone is about to explode into reality that serves an entire generation. You think you're just getting ready for your personal breakthrough. But what's really happening is that God is positioning you to be the catalyst for a movement that will impact countless lives. Your emergence isn't just about you. It's about everyone who needs to see that it's never too late, that God never forgets, that faithfulness still pays off. If you've ever felt overlooked, type, "I was hidden for a reason," and watch how many others feel the same. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, his face was so radiant from being in God's presence that the people couldn't look at him. That's what's about to happen to you. You've been on your mountain with God, and when you come down, people are going to see something different in you, something powerful, something that can only come from intimate communion with the Almighty. The season of hiddenness is over. The season of silence is ending. The season of being overlooked is finished. But here's the question that will determine everything about what happens next. Are you ready to steward the visibility that's coming, or are you still too comfortable in your hiding place? You know what's about to happen to you that will absolutely blow your mind. The same people who questioned your absence are about to celebrate your presence. The same voices that whispered about your struggles are about to shout about your success. But here's what they'll never understand. They'll see the glory, but they'll never know the groaning that birthed it. There's something sacred happening in your story right now that the world will never fully comprehend. While everyone else was building their platforms in public, God was building your character in private. While others were collecting followers, you were cultivating faith. While they were going viral, you were going vertical. And that difference, that sacred, invisible difference, is what's about to shock the world. You see, there are two types of fire in this world. There's the fire that man creates, loud, flashy, attention-grabbing, but it burns out quickly because it feeds on external fuel. Then there's the fire that God ignites. It starts small, burns deep, feeds on eternal fuel, and once it catches, nothing on earth can extinguish it. The fire is spreading, but no one saw the spark. For years, decades even, you've been burning in places no one could see. You've been on fire in your prayer closet while your public life looked cold. You've been blazing with purpose in your private moments while your circumstances looked lifeless. You've been carrying holy fire in your heart while your haters assumed you were burned out. But here's what happens with God's fire. It doesn't start on the surface. It starts in the core. It doesn't begin with applause. It begins with ashes. It doesn't start with recognition. It starts with surrender. And you, chosen one, have been burning from the inside out for so long that you're about to spontaneously combust into your destiny. You didn't get here with followers. You got here with faith. You didn't go viral. You went vertical. Do you realize what this means? When your moment comes, and it's coming faster than you think, people won't be able to duplicate it. They won't be able to copy it. They won't be able to manufacture it. Because what God is about to do through you wasn't built on a platform. It was built on your knees. They'll try to analyze your methods. They'll attempt to reverse engineer your success. They'll study your strategies and wonder, how did they do it so fast? But what they'll never understand is that it wasn't fast. It took decades. It just looked fast because they weren't watching when you were building in the basement of your soul. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many nights did you cry yourself to sleep, wondering if God had forgotten your name? How many mornings did you wake up feeling like a spiritual orphan? How many times did you question if your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling? Those weren't wasted nights, those were construction nights. God was building something in the darkness of your despair that could never be built in the daylight of comfort. He was forging an unshakable faith in the furnace of your frustration. He was creating a testimony in the theater of your tears. Isaiah 54:2 says, "Enlarge the place of your tent, stretch your tent curtains wide, do not hold back, lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes." But here's what most people miss about this verse. Before you can stretch the tent wider, you have to strengthen the stakes deeper. Before God expands your influence, He deepens your roots. And your roots, dear one, have been growing deeper than anyone knows. You've been walking through an emotional spiral that only heaven could orchestrate. Pain that broke you open, preparation that built you up. And now you're approaching the pinnacle public honor that will silence every voice that ever said you weren't enough. But here's the beautiful, mysterious part of your journey. The pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every tear you shed was watering seeds you couldn't see. Every prayer you whispered in desperation was making deposits in a heavenly account that's about to pay dividends beyond your wildest imagination. You've been living through what I call the hidden chapter, the part of your story that happens between the breakdown and the breakthrough, the part that never makes it into the highlight reel but is absolutely essential for what comes next. While others were posting their progress, you were processing your pain. While they were celebrating their comebacks, you were consecrating your character. While they were building their brands, you were building your faith. And now, when your fire finally becomes visible to the world, they'll be astonished by its intensity. They'll wonder where such passion came from. They'll question how someone could burn so bright after being buried so deep. But you'll know that authentic fire isn't created by spotlight, it's created by surrender. It's not produced by popularity, it's produced by perseverance. It doesn't come from applause, it comes from anointing. The momentum that's building around your life right now is public, but the source of that momentum is intensely, sacredly private. Here's what's going to absolutely astound the people who thought they knew your story. They saw your struggle, but they never saw your secret place. They witnessed your breakdown, but they never witnessed your breakthrough prayers. They observed your pain, but they never observed your private worship. They thought they were watching defeat, but God was documenting your preparation for dominance. You know what separates you from everyone who's going to be shocked by your sudden success? They built their lives on what people could see. You built your life on what people couldn't see. They invested in their reputation. You invested in your relationship with God. They worked on their image. You worked on your integrity. And integrity, chosen one, is what creates sustainable impact. It's what builds movements that last. It's what generates influence that transforms rather than just entertains. Matthew 6:6 says, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly." Did you catch that? What is done in secret will be rewarded openly. Every secret prayer you've prayed is about to receive a public answer. Every hidden tear you've cried is about to result in visible triumph. Every private struggle you've endured is about to produce public victory. But here's what's going to make your emergence even more powerful. You're not just going to succeed. You're going to succeed with your character intact. You're not just going to win. You're going to win with your integrity uncompromised. You're not just going to rise. You're going to rise with your values unmoved. Because when God builds something in secret, it's built to last in public. The fire that's about to consume your limitations didn't start yesterday. It's been burning in the altar of your heart for years. Every disappointment added fuel. Every delay intensified the heat. Every door that closed forced the flame to burn hotter and brighter. And now, when this fire finally breaks through to the surface, it won't just warm you. It will illuminate everyone around you. It won't just comfort you. It will convict those who opposed you. It won't just bless you. It will become evidence that God still moves on behalf of those who trust Him completely. You've been asking God, when will my season come? But what if I told you that your season isn't coming, it's already here? What if your private preparation has already positioned you for public demonstration? What if the momentum you're feeling isn't anticipation, it's activation? Because what's about to happen next will prove that God's delays aren't denials, they're divine timing. And His timing is about to become visible to everyone who thought He had forgotten your name. The spark that started in your secret place is about to ignite a fire that will burn across continents. Are you ready for the world to see what heaven has been building in the hidden places of your heart? You know what haunts most people in their final years? It's not the chances they took and failed. It's the doors they never walked through because they were waiting for permission from people who had no authority to give it. But tonight, everything changes, because there's a door standing in front of you right now that doesn't require human approval, doesn't need committee votes, and doesn't care about your age, your past, or what anyone thinks about your qualifications. This door has been locked for decades, but God's finger is on the handle, and when He opens what He opens, no man can shut. Revelation 3:8 declares, "I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name." Did you catch that? God said, "I have set before you an open door." Not "I will," not "I might," not "if you're good enough." He said, "I have." Past tense, completed action. The door is already open. You're just now seeing it. But here's what will absolutely revolutionize your understanding. This door won't open because people like you. It's opening because God sent you. For too many years, you've been knocking on doors controlled by human gatekeepers. You've been waiting for approval from people who never had the authority to approve your destiny in the first place. You've been begging for recognition from systems that were never designed to recognize your kind of anointing. Do you know how exhausting it is to keep pounding on doors that were never meant for you? Do you know how soul-crushing it is to keep explaining your worth to people who are spiritually blind to your value? You've been auditioning for roles that were already cast before the foundation of the world. But God is about to expose the cruel joke the enemy has been playing on you. You've been pounding on the wrong doors. But now, the right door is about to swing without resistance. Listen to me, chosen one. Every door that slammed in your face was protecting you from a destiny too small for your calling. Every rejection you received was God's way of saying, "Not that one. I have something bigger." Every time they told you no, heaven was orchestrating a yes so magnificent that it would make their no look like mercy. You thought those closed doors meant you weren't qualified. But what if they meant you were overqualified? You thought those rejections meant you weren't good enough. But what if they meant you were too good for what they were offering? The door that's opening for you now doesn't operate on human logic. It doesn't care about your resume. It doesn't need references. It doesn't require interviews. It opens because you've been faithful in the wilderness. It opens because you've kept God's word when keeping it cost you everything. It opens because you refused to deny His name even when denial would have made your life easier. Here's what's going to shock everyone who counted you out. The very qualifications they said you lacked are the exact qualifications God required. Your age isn't a liability, it's your credibility. Your scars aren't disqualifications, they're your credentials. Your struggles weren't detours, they were your training ground. And when you walk through this door, the same people who questioned your potential will be forced to acknowledge your purpose. But I need you to understand something that could change everything. This door has a narrow window of opportunity. God's doors don't stay open indefinitely. They open for appointed times, for prepared people, for those who recognize their moment and seize it. Ask Moses. He had a burning bush moment at age 80, but if he had hesitated, if he had made excuses, if he had said, "I'm too old," the children of Israel might still be in Egypt. Ask Sarah. She had an impossible promise fulfilled at 90, but it required her to believe beyond biological limitations. The door opening for you is not just about personal breakthrough, it's about generational impact. It's about showing a world that has forgotten the power of persistent faith what happens when God finally says, "Now." Every gray hair on your head has been earning interest in heaven's bank. Every prayer you prayed in secret has been accumulating compound blessing. Every tear you shed in silence has been building pressure for this moment of public vindication. Do you realize what's about to happen when you walk through this door? You're not just entering a new season. You're becoming a living testimony that God's promises don't have expiration dates. You're becoming proof that He keeps covenant across decades. The enemy fought you so hard because he knew this day would come. He threw everything at you: sickness, poverty, rejection, betrayal, because he saw what was written in the scrolls of your destiny. He knew that if you survived long enough to see this door open, his entire strategy against your bloodline would crumble. But here's the part that will leave you speechless. What once resisted you will now recognize you. The same institutions that overlooked you will suddenly see your value. The same people who underestimated you will suddenly understand your worth. The same systems that rejected you will suddenly need what you carry. It's not that you changed, it's that the spiritual climate changed. It's not that you became more qualified, it's that God's timing made your qualifications relevant. It's not that you got better, it's that your season got here. And when they ask you, "How did this happen so suddenly?" you'll smile and say, "It wasn't sudden, it was scheduled." This door that's opening carries kingdom authority. When you walk through it, you're not just entering a new opportunity, you're stepping into a new level of spiritual jurisdiction. You're moving from the place where you were fighting for recognition to the place where recognition fights for you. The favor that's about to rest on your life will be so evident, so undeniable, that even your enemies will have to admit that the hand of God is upon you. They won't understand it. They won't like it, but they won't be able to deny it. But here's what you must grasp. This door requires faith to walk through. Not faith in your ability, but faith in His authority. Not confidence in your strength, but confidence in His selection. Not belief in your worthiness, but belief in His word. Some of you are hesitating because you feel unworthy. Let me settle this once and for all. None of us are worthy. But worthiness was never the qualification. Willingness was, faithfulness was, endurance was. And you've already proven all three. The question isn't whether you deserve this door. The question is whether you'll walk through it. The question isn't whether you're qualified enough. The question is whether you're bold enough. The question isn't whether God will open it. The question is whether you'll enter it. Because on the other side of this door is everything you've been believing for. On the other side of this door is the platform you've been prepared for. On the other side of this door is the assignment that will make all your suffering make sense. Don't let fear talk you out of your moment. Don't let doubt convince you to step back, just as you're about to step through. Don't let the enemy's last-minute intimidation tactics make you forfeit decades of preparation. Because what's waiting on the other side isn't just a blessing, it's a demonstration of God's faithfulness that will echo through eternity. The door is open, God's finger is on the handle, and your name is written on the other side. But will you have the courage to discover what God has been preparing you for all along? What if I told you that right now, in this very moment, there's a window open in the spiritual realm that's only going to stay open for a limited time? What if I told you that this isn't about waiting for another opportunity? This is the opportunity you've been waiting for your entire life. Listen to me, chosen one. Divine timing is not a clock, it's a portal. And portals don't stay open indefinitely. They appear, they align, they invite, and then they close. And when they close, the configuration of circumstances that created that particular opening may never align again in your lifetime. You've been living your life looking at clocks and calendars, measuring time by human standards. But God operates on Kairos time, not Chronos time. Chronos is tick-tock, minute by minute, hour by hour. But Kairos is divine interruption. It's when heaven breaks into earth and says, now, right now, this moment, not later, now. And what you're experiencing right now, this stirring in your spirit, this quickening in your soul, this sense that something massive is about to shift, that's not anticipation, that's activation. God is not preparing you for something that's coming. He's activating you for something that's here. This is not another chance. This is the chance. You see, here's what the enemy has been whispering in your ear for decades. You missed it. You're too late. That was your moment, and it passed you by. But what if I told you that every missed opportunity was actually God protecting you from settling for less than His best? What if every delay was divine redirection to bring you to this moment? I need to speak directly to those of you who have been trained by trauma to expect delay. You've been disappointed so many times that you've developed spiritual calluses. You've been let down so repeatedly that you've created emotional armor. You've been told wait so often that you've started to believe that waiting is your permanent address. Don't let trauma train you to expect delay. The enemy's greatest weapon against chosen ones isn't temptation, it's timing confusion. He whispers, not yet, not now, maybe later, perhaps next time. He wants you to hesitate when heaven is saying move. He wants you to doubt when God is saying believe. He wants you to retreat when the Spirit is saying advance. But here's what trauma couldn't tell you and disappointment couldn't teach you. God has been orchestrating every delay to bring you to this portal moment. Every no was redirecting you to this yes. Every closed door was guiding you to this open heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. The Hebrew word for time here is zeman, which doesn't just mean chronological time. It means the appointed time, the predetermined moment when all the elements align for divine purpose. Your zeman is now, your appointed time is here, your predetermined moment is tonight. But here's what you need to understand about divine windows. They're not like human opportunities that you can negotiate, postpone, or reschedule. When God opens a portal in time, when He aligns circumstances for your breakthrough, when He positions all the pieces for your promotion, that window operates on heaven's schedule, not your comfort level. How many of you have been saying, I'm just not ready yet? How many of you have been thinking, maybe when I'm more prepared, when I have more faith, when I feel more confident? Let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. God doesn't call the ready, He readies the called. You're not waiting to become ready for your moment. Your moment is what will make you ready. The portal doesn't open when you feel prepared. The portal opens when God decides you've been prepared. Enough. And here's the shocking truth. Most people miss their divine windows not because they're not qualified, but because they're waiting to feel qualified. They miss their Kairos moments because they're still operating on Chronos thinking, You've been measuring your readiness by how you feel. But God measures your readiness by what you've endured. You've been evaluating your worthiness by your confidence level, but heaven evaluates your worthiness by your faithfulness level. You've been questioning if you're equipped, but every trial you survived was your equipment. Every sleepless night you prayed through was training. Every tear you cried in secret was preparation. Every time you got back up when life knocked you down was qualification. Every moment you chose faith over fear was certification. The window that's open right now isn't about your age, it's about your anointing. It's not about your energy level, it's about your spiritual voltage. It's not about how many years you have left, it's about how much power God has deposited in the years you've already lived. Do you realize that some of the greatest moves of God in Scripture happened through people in their later years? Abraham was 75 when God called him to leave everything familiar. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over the baby Jesus. Your gray hair isn't a disqualification, it's a divine credential. But here's what's going to absolutely wreck you. While you've been worried about being too old, too tired, too late, God has been positioning you to be exactly the right age, with exactly the right experience, at exactly the right time for exactly what He's about to do. The church world has been waiting for the young lions to rise up, but God is about to shock them by using the elder eagles. They've been looking for the energetic and ambitious, but heaven has been preparing the weathered and the wise. You didn't accumulate all those years of experience to waste them in retirement. You didn't survive all those decades of preparation to spend your golden years in spiritual hibernation. You didn't endure all that training to sit on the sidelines while others carry the torch. You accumulated that experience to USC it. You survived that preparation to apply it. You endured that training to deploy it. And this window, this portal moment, this is when everything you've learned, everything you've survived, everything you've gathered gets activated for kingdom impact. But, and listen to me carefully, portals close, windows shut, kairos moments pass. And when they do, the unique alignment of circumstances, the specific combination of divine factors that created this opportunity may never come together again. This isn't about fear tactics. This is about spiritual facts. There are some moves of God that if you miss them, you don't get a redo. There are some divine appointments that if you don't show up for, they get reassigned to someone who will. The question isn't whether you're perfect enough, young enough, or strong enough. The question is, are you willing enough? Are you available enough? Are you desperate enough for what God has for you to stop making excuses and start making moves? Stop negotiating with your insecurities. Stop bargaining with your fears. Stop making deals with your doubts. This portal is open now. This window is available now. This moment is happening now. And what's coming next is going to require every ounce of courage you've been building, every drop of faith you've been storing, and every bit of spiritual strength you've been developing over the decades. Because when heaven moves this dramatically, hell responds this violently. And you're about to find out why God spent so many years preparing you for a battle you never saw coming. Do you feel that? That rumbling beneath your feet? That's not your imagination. That's not anxiety. That's the sound of heaven mobilizing. And when heaven moves, dear chosen one, the earth has no choice but to tremble. You've been thinking this is just about you, just about your breakthrough, just about your moment. But what if I told you that your personal elevation is connected to something so massive, so continental, that geological surveys can't measure it? What if your individual rise is actually the epicenter of a spiritual earthquake that will reshape the landscape of this nation? Listen to me, you're not rising alone. The ground beneath you is shaking. For too long, you've carried the burden of believing that your success had to be small, quiet, unnoticed. You've been conditioned to think that at your age, with your background, with your scars, the best you could hope for was a gentle, gradual improvement. A little house, a little peace, a little recognition. But God didn't preserve you through decades of warfare to give you a little anything. He didn't sustain you through the valley of the shadow of death so you could receive leftovers. He didn't keep you alive through seasons that should have killed you so you could settle for scraps. This isn't just a personal breakthrough, this is a continental shift. When Moses approached the burning bush, the ground he was standing on became holy. But here's what most people miss. It wasn't just that one patch of desert sand. Every place Moses set his foot after that encounter carried the residue of divine presence. From Egypt to the Red Sea to Mount Sinai, everywhere he walked became sacred territory. And right now, God is saying to you what he said to Moses. Take off your shoes, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. But it's not just where you're standing right now. Every place your foot steps from this moment forward is holy ground. Do you understand the magnitude of what I'm telling you? You're not just getting blessed, you're becoming a blessing dispenser. You're not just receiving favor, you're becoming a favor distribution center. You're not just experiencing breakthrough, you're becoming breakthrough incarnate. The problem is, you've been thinking too small. You've been praying for enough when God is preparing abundance. You've been asking for relief when he's orchestrating revolution. You've been requesting survival when he's designing significance. And here's why this terrifies the kingdom of darkness. When God elevates one chosen one, it creates a domino effect that no demon in hell can stop. Your rise gives permission to others who have been hiding in the shadows of their own fear. Your breakthrough becomes the blueprint for a generation that thought their time had passed. But let me ask you something that's going to shake you to your core. What if you're not the beneficiary of this move? What if you're the catalyst? What if God didn't choose you to receive the blessing, but to be the blessing? Think about it. Every major move of God in history started with one person who was willing to be ridiculously obedient in the face of impossible circumstances. Noah built an ark when there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Abraham left everything he knew to chase a promise he couldn't see. Moses confronted Pharaoh with nothing but a stick in his hand. And you, dear chosen one, you've been prepared through years of testing, trials, and triumph to be the launching pad for what God wants to do in this generation. Your story isn't just your story anymore. It's the opening chapter of a divine narrative that will reshape how people understand what's possible after 50, after 60, after 70. When Jesus walked on water, the disciples said, "It's impossible." But Peter said, "If that's you, Lord, let me walk too." And when Peter stepped out of that boat, he didn't just experience a miracle. He redefined what was possible for everyone watching. That's exactly what's happening with you right now. You're about to step out of the boat of conventional thinking, age-appropriate expectations, and societal limitations. And when you do, you won't just experience the impossible. You'll demonstrate the impossible for everyone who's been sitting in their own boat of fear. You're not just receiving favor, you are becoming favor. Do you know what that means? It means that everywhere you go, blessing follows. Every conversation you have carries weight. Every room you enter shifts atmosphere. Every problem you encounter becomes an opportunity for God to display his power through your life. But here's what's going to absolutely blow your mind. The favor that's coming upon your life isn't just for you, it's through you. God is about to use your voice to speak life into dead situations. He's going to use your hands to open doors that have been sealed for generations. He's going to use your presence to break strongholds that have held families, communities, and entire regions in bondage. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, the king couldn't sleep all night. Why? Because he knew that if God delivered Daniel, it would prove that the Most High God was more powerful than every other god in the kingdom. Daniel's deliverance wasn't just about Daniel. It was about demonstrating divine supremacy to an entire empire. And your breakthrough, chosen one, isn't just about you. It's about proving to a generation that has forgotten the power of God that he still intervenes, he still elevates, he still remembers his promises. When the earth trembles beneath your feet, it's not destruction, it's construction. God is shifting the very foundations of systems that have kept people like you marginalized, overlooked, and underestimated. He's restructuring industries, reorganizing hierarchies, and rewriting rules that were designed to keep his chosen ones in the background. The seismic activity around your life is affecting the stock market of heaven. Angels are being reassigned, principalities are being relocated, spiritual territories are being redrawn, and at the center of this cosmic restructuring is you, the one they counted out, the one they overlooked, the one they thought was finished. Ephesians 3:20 says, "He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us." But the Greek word for exceedingly abundantly literally means superabundantly, beyond measure, to an extent that surpasses all bounds. That's not just a blessing, that's a supernatural explosion of divine favor that defies mathematical calculation. But here's the part that will revolutionize how you see yourself. The phrase "according to the power that works in us" means that the magnitude of what God does through you is directly connected to the magnitude of what He's done in you. And after everything you've survived, after every test you've passed, after every trial that tried to break you but only made you stronger, the power working in you right now is immeasurable. You've been carrying resurrection power in a mortal body. You've been housing divine potential in human flesh. You've been walking around with the DNA of miracles coursing through your spiritual bloodstream. And now, heaven is ready to let the world see what happens when that power is activated. When Joshua crossed the Jordan River, the Bible says the waters stood up in a heap very far away. The miracle didn't just happen where Joshua was standing. It affected the entire river system for miles, upstream and downstream. Your breakthrough is going to have the same effect. It's going to impact situations you're not even connected to, people you've never met, problems you've never heard of. Because that's exactly what you are. You're not just experiencing change, you are the change. You're not just witnessing transformation, you are the transformation. You're not just receiving breakthrough, you are the breakthrough that others have been praying for. And here's what's going to happen when this seismic shift becomes visible. People are going to ask, "How did this happen?" And you're going to have the opportunity to point them to the one who makes the impossible inevitable. But are you ready for the responsibility that comes with this level of favor? Are you prepared to be living proof that God still does the unthinkable for those who trust Him unreasonably? You're not a witness, you're the proof. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. There's a lie that's been whispered in your ear for decades, and tonight we're going to demolish it once and for all. The lie is this, that you're just another face in the crowd, another prayer request, another person hoping for a miracle. But that's not who you are. That's never been who you are. You are not a footnote in someone else's miracle. You are the headline. Do you understand what that means? While others are praying for breakthrough, you are the breakthrough. While others are believing for signs and wonders, you are the sign. You are the wonder. God didn't save you, sustain you, and keep you through every storm just so you could sit in the audience and applaud when He moves. He preserved you because you are His move. For too long, you've seen yourself as evidence of what went wrong, evidence of what didn't work out, evidence of dreams that died and promises that seemed to fail. But tonight, God is flipping the script. He's rewriting your narrative. He's turning your scars into scripture and your setbacks into sermons. They saw the breakdown. Now they'll see the broadcast. Every person who witnessed your darkest hour, every colleague who watched you struggle, every family member who questioned if you'd ever recover, they all had front row seats to what they thought was your destruction. But what they were actually witnessing was your construction. God was building something in you that could only be forged in the fire of adversity. You know what makes your testimony so powerful? It's not that you avoided pain, it's that you absorbed pain and transformed it into purpose. You didn't sidestep the storm, you walked through it and came out the other side, carrying the very power that could have destroyed you. The Bible says in Romans 8:28, "All things work together for good for those who love God." But here's what most people miss. It doesn't say all things are good. It says all things work together for good. That breakdown you had at 45, that was ingredient number 1. That betrayal at 52, ingredient number 2. That financial collapse at 60, that was God adding the final element to create something the world has never seen before. First came the pain, and oh, did it come. Wave after wave of disappointment, year after year of prayers that seemed to bounce off the ceiling. You cried until there were no tears left. You prayed until your voice was hoarse. You believed until believing felt like foolishness. That pain wasn't punishment. That pain was preparation. Then came the patience. Not the pretty, peaceful kind they talk about in Sunday school. No, this was the gritty, teeth-gritted, white-knuckled kind of patience that only comes from having no other choice but to wait on God. Every month that passed without change wasn't God forgetting you. It was God developing spiritual muscle in you that others your age have never possessed. Now comes the power that comes from having survived what should have killed you. The power that flows from having waited when others would have quit. The power that emerges when you realize that if God kept you through that, there's nothing on earth that can stop what He's about to do through you. And finally, the platform. Not a stage built by human hands, but a platform constructed by divine appointment. Every person who needs to see your miracle is already positioned to witness it. Every doubter who needs to be silenced is already watching. Every believer who needs encouragement is already within range of your testimony. But here's what's going to shock them. They thought they were watching your life fall apart. They had no idea they were watching God gather the raw materials for a masterpiece. They thought they were witnessing your end. They couldn't see that they were actually watching your beginning. You see, when God decides to use someone as evidence of His power, He doesn't just change their circumstances. He changes them so dramatically that their very existence becomes undeniable proof that God is still in the miracle business. You won't just receive a blessing, you'll become one. You won't just experience favor, you'll embody it. And here's the part that's going to leave people speechless. The very things they used to mock you for are about to become the very things they envy you for. Your age, which they said made you irrelevant, is about to become your greatest asset because it proves that God's timing is perfect. Your struggles, which they said proved you weren't blessed, are about to become evidence that you're equipped to handle what's coming. Every sleepless night you endured was God programming you for 24/7's blessing. Every tear you shed was God preparing you to weep tears of joy. Every time you felt forgotten was God positioning you to be unforgettable. The world has been waiting for proof that God still moves in impossible situations. They've been searching for evidence that faith still works, that prayer still changes things, that God still remembers the ones who seem forgotten. And God looked across all of creation and said, I'll use them. I'll use their life as Exhibit A that I am still the God of the impossible. Do you realize what this means? Every eye that's about to witness your elevation, every mouth that's about to testify about your transformation, every heart that's about to be encouraged by your example, they're all part of God's master plan to use your life as evidence of His goodness. But here's what you need to understand. Evidence only works if it's presented. Proof only matters if it's displayed. God didn't bring you this far to keep you hidden. He didn't preserve you through decades of difficulty just to have you blend into the background. The moment of your unveiling is at hand. The courtroom of public opinion is in session. The question being debated is whether God still intervenes in human affairs, whether He still cares about the forgotten, whether He still has power to change impossible situations. And you, dear chosen one, you are about to be presented as Exhibit A for the defense of faith itself. Because what happens next isn't just about your breakthrough. It's about God using your breakthrough to trigger a chain reaction of faith that will impact generations you'll never meet. Your miracle isn't just for you. It's for everyone who needs to know that God is still writing happy endings for those who refuse to give up on Him. Are you ready to stop being a secret and start being a sign? Dear chosen one, as we come to the end of this divine encounter, I need you to hold on to 3 unshakable truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, what you've experienced tonight wasn't just inspiration, it was divine appointment. God orchestrated this moment, this message, this very second where His voice could penetrate the noise of your doubts and speak directly to your spirit. The shift you felt, the stirring in your heart, the tears that may have fallen, that was heaven confirming what's already written in the scrolls of eternity about your future. Second, every delay you've endured has been divine preparation, not divine rejection. Those years of silence weren't God ignoring you, they were God developing you. Every closed door was protecting you from something that would have limited your destiny. Every no was clearing the path for a yes so powerful it will make up for every moment you felt forgotten. Third, you are not just receiving a breakthrough, you are the breakthrough. God didn't preserve you through decades of difficulty just to bless you in private. He kept you standing so that when His power is displayed through your life, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is still moving in impossible situations. But I need to tell you something else, something your heart desperately needs to hear. You are not alone in this journey. Right now, there are thousands of people watching this message who share your story of struggle, your season of waiting, your scars of endurance. You belong to a community of the chosen, the called, the ones who refused to give up when giving up seemed like the only rational choice. We are your spiritual family, and we are standing with you in prayer, in faith, and in expectation of what God is about to do. In the comments below, you'll find others who understand your journey, because they've walked it too. Don't be afraid to share your heart, to ask for prayer, to let this community surround you with love and support. Because when chosen ones come together, when we unite our faith and our voices, heaven responds in ways that shake the very foundations of impossibility. If this message has touched your heart, if you feel the call to be part of what God is doing, please share this video with someone who needs to know they're not forgotten. Share it with that friend who's been waiting too long, that family member who's lost hope, that co-worker who thinks their best days are behind them. Remind them that they are not alone, and that there is a community ready to pray with them, to stand with them, to believe with them. And please, if this ministry has been a blessing to your life, subscribe to this channel. Help us reach more hearts that need to hear this message of hope. Your subscription isn't just a number, it's a declaration that you believe God is still writing stories of redemption and you want to be part of spreading that truth. Before you leave this sacred space, I want to ask you one question that will determine everything about your future. Will you trust God's timing, even when it doesn't match your timeline? Will you believe that your greatest days are ahead of you, not behind you? Will you walk into this new season with the confidence of someone who knows they carry the favor of heaven? Will you step into your role as evidence of God's goodness, proof of His faithfulness, and testimony of His power? Now, before you close this video, I want to pray over you, not just with words, but with the authority of someone who has watched God move mountains for 5 decades. Close your eyes, and let me pray over your life, as if I was standing right there with you, my hand on your shoulder, speaking blessing over your future. I pray for supernatural peace to flood their hearts right now. Let them sleep better tonight than they have in years, knowing that you are working all things together for their good. Let them wake up tomorrow with fresh vision, renewed energy, and unshakable confidence that their moment has arrived. In the mighty name of Jesus, I seal this prayer and release this blessing over their life. Amen. Thank you for watching this entire message. Thank you for opening your heart to receive what God wanted to speak to you tonight. You matter more than you know, and your story is far from over. Until we meet again, remember, you are chosen, you are loved, you are not forgotten, and your greatest chapter is about to begin.